Are we live? I think I'm live. Hey, what's happening? So it's Monday, starting a new week. It's last couple of weeks of March. So I think last week of March itself, yes. Last week of March, and I was starting my Monday routine, which was to jump into the quiet and see what's happening, figure out things here and there. But before I do that, I thought I'll go and work on something. I want to just like do some more creative things. So early morning, instead of jumping into boring management tasks, I wanted to do something. And that's when I saw this that Solflare launched a thread explaining their new branding. Now I did take a jab at their new branding. I had my own personal thoughts on it. The fun part about being on a rebrand is that everyone has their different thoughts, and in the end it's all about audience. Do they accept it or not, right? Most of the time, if you have enough money to spend on marketing, you can get them on your side and it will work. Like we have heard a lot more stories where it has not worked, like Gap and everything, but most of the time it works, right? So again, a lot of time the rebrand which I'm talking about or we're discussing on this is mostly my thought on if they were able to pull this off or how could they done it better. Again, I was not hired, so I don't have any official comment on that, but this is my personal thought, and this is breaking down the brand, and we'll get into it. So, hey Naman, what's happening, bro? Thanks. So, this is the MetaMask brand which you did. The good thing was in MetaMask, I had oopsie daisy. I made a mistake. Let me just figure it out. I changed my Logitech setting. Because of that, I'm not able to now move my cursor off. Yep, now it should work. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So we did MetaMask. I did not share this Figma file with you all. This is my brand breakdown Figma file. I'll keep adding stuff here. I should do more, and I'll keep sharing with you. So the basic format is very simple. We break down brands, social media. We break down their landing page. We break down their branding, and then try to see if they have the brand soul. Now that what that is, we'll talk about it later. So let's get into this. So the first step is we gotta collect all the social media graphics from their website, right? Everything which they have, which is pretty easy. We just go whatever we find on their new graphic, we pick it up, we place it on a single Figma. Yep, like this, and then we collect. And this is very important to collect stuff. You want to understand why they did what they did, right? Like what element do you have? Generally, I would ask my someone to help me on my team to do this beforehand. But I said this was Monday. I was going to work, and then I just saw this thread, and I just momentarily just jump into this. By the way, we are live on not only on Twitter but also on YouTube. So I have not done a stream on YouTube in a long time. Yeah, work keep me busy here. But how's your Monday doing? How you all are already? How are you figuring out with this Monday? Pain है ना यार बहुत pain है. You wake up, you gotta figure out the task and all that shit, no? What else do we have? Yeah, these are by the way from their brand explanation, so you would see and get into that side. I think, yeah, some more here. Oh, I'm not sure if I want to get into it, but I'll get this one. I'll get some more. Oh, this is a video, so I can't take that. But oh yeah, we also have here are the graphics, some more direction to understand. And that's the social. I think that's more than enough for the social media part of it. Let's now next what we need is, so you don't want to judge a brand without like going through the whole story. You want to know what is happening, why they did that, what are the other elements, right? The next step after social media we should do is we should go to the website and take screenshot and put that here. But we can do that like while we even break down the whole brand and get into it. But the second thing you want to do is we're gonna get them product screenshots, like how does their product look now. Now the good thing is in this case they have been helping us out with sharing their own screenshot, so we won't have to get into like directly into their products. I have not downloaded the app yet. uh, I had downloaded before, but then I was didn't I used Phantom that much, so I did not move here, and I also had Backpack. That's a personal choice. You it might now with obviously with the rebrand. So rebranding also comes. It helps in this one thing, which is marketing. Right, a lot more companies rebrand because they want some marketing push, and this is the easiest marketing campaign, right? Like you want to get everyone to talk about your brand, do a rebrand, good or bad, do a rebrand. They'll talk about you, and that's what helps you, right? In that case, so in this, the same thing is happening, right? Right now, when they did the rebrand, I got to know more about Solflare. I had that back in the mind, but now I'll go and check what is Solflare, how they do work and all that, right? So this is where it's helpful to even do a rebrand. So a lot of brands do it in this purpose also, right? So that is always gonna be there. By the way, the typical hand mock-up, but hey, can't blame them. By the way, you should never, but this is a Web3 tip, never ever Google something and then goes anywhere, okay? If you're finding some links or anything, always go through official channels. The level of the level of shit they do to hack your account is crazy. So always go through official channels. Never Google anything and then trust that link to, yeah, this is perfect. Never ever. This one was the Google Play one. I need this one, Apple one. Mostly it's really same, but I'll be able to test it out later on my phone if I have. Let's check out how it looks. I get better view on that side of things. Oopsie, let's go. Come on, Solflare. So their new branding obviously has not been made on their SEO. It will take some time. That's part of the process. Oops. Look like the iOS thing is not working. We'll just take the Android one. I have already taken a look at their brand, right? So it's gonna be there. By the way, if you're here, drop a comment. I love to see you. Hey, Sedze, I think you're on YouTube, bro. What's happening? So one bigger issue which I have at every brand which I work, or at least I see, is that they don't have brand soul. And I said in the early list in the stream that what is brand soul, right? So brand soul is in your product. If you have a branding, right, it's like a personality you add made throughout for your brand. But when I go to your product, it's not just there. So I don't know if this is. By the way, the review also talks about rebrand, as I said, right? That it's part of marketing. Obviously, here the bias also comes with how they use the app, right? So it definitely go into that direction. Hey Mandar, no, I don't know about NC Wallet. What is that? Oh, that's something new I learned there. Uh, okay, let's. I think we got some basic of their product, and then more we'll get from their website, and we'll when we talk about that. So as I also just told you last time, there's four ways you put your brand in mind of people, right? Let me just put that. So the one is obviously color, right? Then you have illustration patterns, then you have fonts, and then you also, I mean, obviously your logo or your brand story is there. Now brand story is a lot, like let's say 80% of the brands would have some brand stories, but they'll never put that into their branding itself. They'll just have it somewhere in about and never utilize that well. So we'll have to obviously take a look if they are doing it here nicely or no. The way I do this is to, like, you just go to the home, you check out their homepage, and then just take a screenshot. Now one thing I noticed, by the way, we can, before we do this, we can do one thing to make this much easier also. Yeah. Oh, fucking nice. Amazing. This is the benefit of using Arc. I get all the screenshot nicely. Yeah. Yeah. Hey Mandar, no, I don't know about NC wallet. What is that? Do I wanna go and Google that? NC wallet. Oh, commission free crypto wallet. No idea, but I won't click any link. I'm sorry. I'll check the Google Play one. It looks like a typical wallet to me. I don't know what is interesting here, but okay. Hey Naman, yeah. Example of brands with a soul. That's a tough one. But that's a good list. I have to make that. That's a nice task you have given me. I'll put that on my list. Could be a good list to share. Perfect. I'll make this task and get that done for you all. Now let's go to the next this part. But before we jump into the website, they actually wrote a thread on why they did what. So we'll take that into consideration and then break down this brand. Okay. So let's start here. So whether Lacarta has written that, I should follow him or her. Lacarta has written this thread. Let's get into this. Okay. So they obviously like if you'll notice, this has a certain vintage vibe. We talked about. I mean, this goes without saying that this is certain visual of. Can you hear me now, Saurav? I'm surprised my audio is low. Hello. It's high on the sense. It's all good now. It should be. Okay, yeah. So this is the logo, and they you get a vintage vibe when you're looking at this. So there's something on that. But let's go and read more about it. This is their line. We needed a bold sign to signal our power to protect and educate, but able to show what true self custody really looks like. This is the one brand story price. Like this is where they align with it. Okay. Now this is, I think, our brand has always been about trust, power, innovation. We built our new direction on these firm foundation. While shaping the new brand, we identify the enemy it must fight, subservience. Okay, this is something interesting. Let's Google and see what does that means. Some TV serial came. But this is English second language problem that sometimes. Oh, obeying, willingness to obey. Got it. Okay, so it's again, yeah. I think they are going in the direction of that money or the financial institutes have been has been our masters and we've been obeying them. Something on that direction. Like finance, freedom, security, education, and competitive features. Hence the in our video the wheel needs to be broken. Oh, okay. So one thing is I think they obviously went with hamster as a this also is interesting because we are getting into mascot vibe, right? So let's put some notes on there. They have hamster as a mascot, not directly as a mascot. Generally mascot means that they'll use it into graphics and all that. Here in this case what they are doing is they are just using this in the video. Let's hope and see if they are going to use it later in their branding and make a Solflare mascot with a hamster. Hopefully they should. But the thing is they are saying that hamster, they are trying to break the wheel. So it's a whole crypto narrative that everything has been happening a certain way last couple decade, like few decades. They're trying to break that and to show that break, right? Like so, this is again where brands like narrative gets interesting. Okay, uh, for example, if I say I want to break down a existing system, there's a certain way of doing that. Like there's certain metaphors you go in that. There's certain story. So like whenever you're branding, you will always go for four things. One is history. I should talk about. I think I talked about this somewhere else also in some other video also. But whenever you're doing, let's say, brand, if you're creating a brand story, right, you'll go to four narratives. Okay. Yeah. The first in mythology, right? A lot of brands will just go into this. So Greek, Roman, Indian, like depends on it, but you will always go there because see, brands need to be larger than life. They can't be human. Like Ramesh can't be a brand. If I have a friend called Ramesh and he say कि मेरा brand Ramesh की तरह है, nobody would care. It needs to be bigger, like it's the larger than life, right? Like it needs to be like Rocky Bhai from KGF. Like it needs to be that like brand, right? So when it comes to that, you need element, you need storytelling from those elements which people already know as larger than life, right? So mythology is one of that part, right? Then comes nature. Now nature as in sense, right? Like when I like we all know nature, right? But we don't know the extent of it, right? Like think about this: when you're lying down on your ghar ki chhat, on your roof, and then like terrace, and you're looking at the stars, right? And then sometimes you get that feeling that how huge the universe is and all that. Like that's larger than life, right? Like you have no, you are not able to put that into a single thought in that. The extent is so huge, right? So nature comes into that, and that also comes into space slash universe, I will call it. Right. So now space, because nature obviously gives a different world, a planet which we know. We have more information about it, right? So we go and talk about it. But there's a space or a universe which we don't know more about. So we can't get into that. We don't know how to like talk about it. So this is one different topic other than nature. Then the fourth one and my favorite one, right? It's history. Now, if you take any brand from today, I think like take any five brand, you'll at least find one brand whose brand story connects with history. The reason is it's very simple that legacy wise, a lot of the brands which are there, like which are surviving right now, comes from legacy, like generation of people building, right? So it's always gonna be history, right? A good example of is Apple, right? Like Apple wanted to show innovation. They could have shown innovation in multiple ways, right? There's innovation in nature, there's innovation in mythology, there's innovation in the universe space, right? But they chose history. But because they were also scientific, they went with science in a way. Now, when you say science in which way, how did they do that, right? So they went to history and they're looking what were the moments of innovation in history. They could have went to wheel also, but they went to gravity when Newton found gravity. And how did he found gravity? Because of the apple which fall on him, and that's where the name Apple and the branding. So if you go back and search for Apple logo early, just a second, there's something happening on my system. That's recording or turning off. I gotta check what's happening. Am I live though? Hey everyone. Can you guys see me? Are we good? I think we are live. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just broke down. I think someone might have been on my gather. Yeah, my gather just called me. But let's get back. So if you go and search for Apple logo history, right, you'll notice.
Hi, Rahul sir. Good morning.
Hey Rishabh, I'm on a live. Can you talk to you later, bro? Just a second, just be hey everyone. Sorry. So by the way, we use gather on the quiet, so where we interact with each other. Let me just tell.
Wonderful.
Hey Rishabh, I'm on a live, bro. Can I talk to you later?
हाँ कोई नहीं
Cool. Bye.
cool bye.
So yeah, this by the way, we use gather to obviously interact with each other. Like because a full remote company, so that happens. But yeah, if you notice, this is 1976 logo, right? It's a picture of Newton sitting under the apple tree, and that's where the whole thing. So this is like a lot of people do that, right? So in this case, now coming back to our point, they also went, they showed with that something already existing in life, which was the hamster thing, which already happening, right? And now hamster thing obviously has been used a lot before to explain a daily mundane life, like how rat race also has been happened, right? So like it's a daily mundane thing which is already was there, so they just use that to show this point. So this is nice, I like that. Then they go into signage where we're going. So we have the shape new territory with every tension signature is an act of development power. Oh, celebration makes you royalty. So here also one interesting thing. So self custody, and then where every transaction signature is an act of enablement power. Keywords wise, what they did was, like if you notice, they had two keywords here. Okay, the first was signature. Now this is like you are seeing a branding happening in front of you. This is how I'm assuming the design also did it. When they were talking to the user, like the client, they got talk about this part. Okay, what can we make it unique and all that, and they were like, okay, what does our wallet do? It lets people send money and everything. Okay, how does it let it do them? It lets them sign transaction, which goes there. Okay, signature. So this is where, like, if you notice, like that every signature transaction is somewhere where we are using our power of self custody. Like we own that crypto and we are sending it and everything, right? This goes in that direction. In the sense, second thing was royalty. So they had these two keywords in this, and I obviously noticed, like, this is, by the way, I like that in thread they have this language. Now we gotta see if they are using the same language in their website or not, or in their communication or not. Because a good brand designer will help you give that language, that tone, that personality. But if you're not able to extend that later while you are actually working on things, it's a you problem. You gotta always keep, like, there's a brand guide which would be there for you, so you gotta understand how to do that. Coming back, so they come with signature, they come with self custody. From there, they went to royalty part of it, right? Two simple step, nothing crazy there. Now, from there, if we read more about it, okay, during the age of entertainment, bold new ideas spread, oopsie, yeah, through backletter print, fueling progress. Back then, trust in financial institutions was still existed. Many was backed by gold. Backletter came from handwritten books, each reflecting a scribe's identity. Okay. Now, from the signature, they went to black letter, right? Now, I generally, myself don't have any idea on black letter, but it's the Gothic script. Oh, Gothic script, black letter, it's called. Oh, nice. This was obviously written by hand. Like people had that custom pens which they used to do. Now people do calligraphy and this still exists. So I think from signature they went to writing. Like, okay, what, like if you're talking about signature, they can get to this, right? And that's where this font comes in. And they went into direction. Okay, like in the back in the time, vintage time, right? People used to obviously when they were doing something, they would use these black letters to write everything in this, books and everything, and mostly receipts. If they had a receipt in this, right, uh, that would have added more impact for me because I would understand like something which is talking about in that pen, like in that writing. See, but some financial paper if they had, right? Because they are saying right now that okay, this is where it comes from, but I'm not seeing any examples. I get the handwritten books idea. I get that reflecting scribe, like every font was custom because every person who was writing was custom, so that's where the identity was. So that's where they went into it, and from there, interestingly, they went into two things. So by the way, by right now, so this is very interesting. Like you're seeing the whole journey. That from the whole one part was okay. What we are breaking down. We are breaking down this wheel. Okay, how we are breaking down? We are giving your signature the power and everything, right? And then there's royalty thing, self custody. So right now they are just going through signature to element wise. The signature from there went to this font. From this font, if you notice, your signature is united power. We wanted together we created a custom black letter type. So they went into tradition and they were like, okay, yeah, tradition wise, people had this custom handwriting, which was their power, right? You would always write down and nobody else would copy your handwriting. That's where the letter comes from, right? And they connected that with your signature. They made it like a signature thing, right? So this is where their logo comes in. And this is the story of their custom font. Now the custom font was done and they needed a logo for that. Now this is, you write this down, पत्थर की लकीर लिख लो कहीं पे भी. If you are someone who's making a word mark, most of the time, the first word, the initial will become the logo. As simple as that. It's a written rule, unwritten rule which has been there for years. People have been using that for every time. Like you go there somewhere, if there has a word mark, they'll always use the initial for the short form. Here they did that. But what I like was specifically, so they are using this custom font called FK Grotsec. Okay, interesting. Have they customized the black letter thing? Because I don't see it's. Uh, okay, Edge did this. Regged Edge. We create a custom bigger diamond presentation with the tech paired with. Oh, they paired it with FK Grodzek, but they made this custom mark. They made this custom mark of black letter. Let's see how. So, oopsie. Oops. So, flare would look like. Yeah. See, this is how general the existing typical one. There were multiple variation of that. You see different styles. But if you notice one thing, most of the S are double. I don't know the reason for that. I think it's again you'll have to learn more about the typography of that time. But whenever I'm seeing the whole old English vibe, the S has double of that curve. I don't know why, but it has that here also. If you notice, right here it's cleaner. Oh yeah, interesting. This is the interesting one. They went into different something. Yeah. Okay, here also a double S. I think there's some direction where the logo always had double S. So I think they did that. And then obviously now the story of waving flag. I don't believe in this story because like it's just mostly these stories comes later at that time. But I know where the story comes from, right? So once you made this logo, you had the font because your S generally, as I said, like was double. So this would also uh, anyone who's designing it also would have taken inspiration from other fonts, went into that direction, and they went with this logo, right? And still, everything is going through still through signature, right? Now here's where royalty gets in. Now the you heard the flag thing. Where do you have flags? In kingdoms, right? That's where royalty gets in. So if I put royalty ka tadka on this logo and make a story for that, that's where you get the flag thing. Now this logo has a flag ka meaning that this is a flag which is there, which is nice. But if I go to their brand and I'm gonna check this, I'll come back in their media. If that's a big part, they should have a flag mock-up somewhere. If you believe in that thought, you should definitely double down on that by having a mock-up and everything on that side of things. Yeah. Okay, we have some people on there. Hey everyone, if you're there, just drop a comment. Yeah, so they went to the flag, got it. So from there, they made this whole new logo. Not nice. I think I personally like that. Going crazy, good logo. And then this is where the royalty part comes in. See, if you're using Solflare, you become a king. Cause remember royalty. This is where royalty is. Cause that was one keyword they wanted to keep that into the thoughts. Here's royalty. Right now, one concern with me royalty is I think cause they were going vintage, right? Uh, if you go vintage gothic, oh, see history. Mostly, it's connected with royalty or kingdoms, right? I think that's why when they were also working on this, they had to connect it somewhere to the royalty part of it or the kingdom part of it, and that's where this whole royalty came because they are sitting on a throne with the crown on their head. Obviously, I'm not very happy with the way they are using this 3D golden because just like doesn't match with the vibe they have, to be honest. In this case, Mega 8 has done a great job into mixing vintage and futuristic. That will be another brand breakdown. We'll talk about it. But yeah, so then they obviously made some custom icons, and now here's where the this is useful, right? So if you have this element, right, how do you expand that? Oopsie. Oops. How do you expand? So my keyboard charger died. Keyboard died actually. Yeah. So how do you expand this branding? Like, okay, so you got the good logo mark, but you need remember what I talked about in the last thing. You need these three elements of the colors, illustrated patterns, and fonts, right? So you got a custom font, which is this one, correct? but you need illustration and patterns. That's how you expand your brand. You need these elements to support, right? So how do you make something from this? Obviously, there's a typical way of, if you have this element, you can make patterns out of it. But you obviously have other ways of doing it. What else can you do with this, right? So this is where this graphic comes in. So if you notice, it's this pattern, they introduce this custom pattern, which will help them create more illustrations and patterns which can expand the branding. Now they create a memory. Like, this was the first thought, was this whole vintage thing. Vintage to take me to royalty. Royalty took me to this pattern, which I saw in different locations, right? So here you have these elements. Let me just paste them here. And here you have your patterns, right? So now they made a new custom pattern style, right? Now the good thing about this is, sorry, illustrator style, which I like, because now they can just create anything with this illustrator style and this will work. And I hope they have made a AI tool or a generator for this so they can use it. They are like, they are now mixing with past and future like that, go into this, and this is done with their existing element which we have. Oh, here's, they have used a flag, so nice. Like, they I think, uh yeah, okay. Swirik has done a great job in that. He explained this whole flag thing. So we see the flag. That is nice. Let's put it here. Yeah. But we got our issue pattern now. Let's go and see if they were able to. This is the brand which they made, right? We saw the whole. Now we don't have enough context. You also have enough context. We both can now, I won't say judge, but check if they were able to pull through and follow up with whatever they made in the brand story. The past, the signature, the vintage, the royalty. Like, were they able to expand that into a landing page and a product? Now, see, well, the brand designer who's working on that branding would always be able to pull that off because they are the one who are making it. But as soon as it comes to web, that's where things break down. And as soon as it comes to product, that's where things break down, because then you have a product or UX designer who's working on things, and which is way different than the thought process of a brand designer, right? So let's get into this and see how they were able to work on this. So the good thing is we have their landing page. Now you are here with me. I have some 160 people watching this, right? I'm gonna go to their website. I'm gonna put my thoughts. You can also drop your comments, and I'll add them into here in this Figma file, and we'll together see if they were able to being true to their brand identity which they made, and were able to expand that. Okay, let's get into it. So I'm here. uh, this is their home page, right? I'll also keep it open into my Arc browser so you can see live, and then I'll go and put thoughts. So first thing first, uh, I see the logo strong, but I'm not sure why they went with this font. So they said that they paired this with the FK Grodsec, right? They paired this with, yeah. Okay. They paired with the Grodsec font, and I'm assuming the font they're using on their Arc browser, like then their website, is also the same one. Let's check that. Okay, nice. Yeah, okay. I still feel like this still need more personality. So this is where, see, this is where the problem with product and web comes, right? Uh, in branding, you can customize a lot more thing, but in web and UI, it needs to be scalable into multiple levels, right? So they are using a existing font, but here's where I think it could have been getting little bit interesting if they just went with. And again, I'm just suggesting suggestion. If they don't want it, don't know to take it. But there's something called ink traps. Yes, ink trap fonts. Now this is a new type of font style which just last year I started seeing on internet and Behance and everywhere, where the way that make it becomes interesting is when there's interactions, right? This movement of the fonts, they're moving from different direction. They customize that. So if you notice, like, so they are futuristic. They are still on the sans serif. Sans serif on the grotesque and space kind of vibe, right? Like mono. but they are unique in this way. This makes them really unique. And if you are someone who's building a brand with future and vintage, you can definitely take uh, benefit of that while you're working on that action. Yeah, there's obviously a lot more. So the rule of this is that you have these intersections, go crazy, see how many, how can you, like, uh, which way you can make it unique. For example, here if you see, this is boring Grosek, they added one direction, some more. Now if only I feel Solflare went with this font, it would have taken that vintage soul and kept it into font. This is like small things add a lot more into your brand, right? You wanna see that, like, it's like if you have a kid, right? It will have some understanding, like some things of their parents, right? Even in a small matter, but they'll have it. They'll have own personality, but they'll have something there, right? So this is what I wanted here. Secondary, one thing which I personally don't understand, but this is a dev issue, by the way, if you notice. This I don't know why they, but this is not curve. Actually, it's not an actual bender. They have not rounded a div. I don't know why they could have just said it. But there's bentos, which I'm not sure why that is happening. Why do we need bento in this? That just felt very random out of the blue. Right, so this bento just feels weird out of, for me at least. Like, I just, like, I don't like the bento layout. And also, if you notice, well, so generally when you're pairing with your brand, you want two fonts, right? The one you're leading heading fonts, and then you need some pairing data reading fonts like your paragraph fonts. Here what's happening is, if you scroll down, they're using one fonts only, which is the growth segment, nothing else. And I'm like, you gave me this. This is your dessert, like, which you gave me in the starting of the meal, right? You showed me that this is something. Yeah, this is personality. But as soon as I scroll down, the personality is gone now. Now this could be any other brand into Web3 or Web2 actually. There's no Soulflare anymore. Like, at least not in font, right? Color wise you're there, but font wise there's no Soulflare. Pattern was also like, this is here. This adds it, but I still don't see that. If you went with the whole gothic thing, right? Why not went with the patterns also, like layout also? Right? This is a layout way for that. And again, I understand that you wanted to make it futuristic, but if you're making it futuristic, at least be some aligned to that thought. Like, you can't mix two different vintage and futuristic thought. It needs to be somewhere that can, because that's how humans see things, right? So I just feel like here you could have added a vintage gothic font here, which could have made it much better, right? So if I, for example, if I went and, oops, you know what, I can just do this here. So if I went and added just any other, let's say, vintage font here, it would have changed a lot. Like, the personality would have added. But let's get into ahead. Yeah. So again, same thing. I still don't know, and I'll just do it here. Okay. So I don't know bento. Font wise, we need, could have used header vintage font. We'll get into colors and everything later at the stage. Mockup wise also, I feel like, if you are actually, this is the fun. Have you seen these gothic vintage mobile covers? I remember saving this somewhere. Uh, Somewhere I saw a cool looking metal spider, or a metal, like a metal. There's this artist who used to do that, and I love that. It's like, it was so cyberpunk. But the thought was that, like, a vintage has some other things. You have that black color of jewelry and everything, right? Like, if you go to vintage, which frames also are there. Like there's certain way of those frames and everything like connects with that upholstery, right? So if I go to Gothic vintage era, you'll notice there's a certain, even the buildings has certain details and everything, right? So this is again not a complaint. This could be much better. This is like generally I get it. This is a simple mock-up you have used for existing, understandable. But just think, if only I don't think if I have mid Jandika subscription or not, but let me check. I think it expired. But if I could, I gotta subscribe. Damn. Where else can I make something? Morphic. Let's go to Morphic. So, a vintage just soldier holding a phone. This is, by the way, where AI can also help in your branding, right? So if you have, not obviously in this, a vintage Gothic. Obviously, I'll have to do more research to find the exact keywords. So we won't get into generation right now. But you're getting my vibe. Like if a king was holding on a sitting Gothic medieval era. I was working on a brand for medieval era, so I was researching some things. But let's say a character like this, right? Or we have a lot of Gothic, at least today on the Goth vibe. I think there's some things there. But if something was like that, like some a hand like this was holding the phone for the mock-up, it would look so cool, right? It just adds to the story of it. And yeah, that's one thing. And then get into the next thing. Founders, I don't like the whole bento layout because it just like feels out of the blue. Like if we go into their brand, right? So you'll notice that they are using mostly edges. Yeah, edges. This logo also is edge. This pointer also is line wise, right? This year they have to use round because it's there. But if you look at their icons, it's edge based, right? Like sharp, bold, edge based. Their even their boxing they're using is very much like this. Is I think comes from bento, but their icons they're using secondary icons they're using also like this, right? And then you have this round bento which doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I get you might want to like, even if your message looks like this, if your message pop-ups look like this, then this roundness doesn't match. Like again, I'm not saying it's bad or not doing good. It does not just match the branding. That's my only concern. Or I want to see it better, right? So I will, if I was doing, I would make this sharp. I would put some sharp edges there. Matches with your vibe. You don't have to be afraid of it, right? If matches. Sharp edges, I'll put it there, right? Maybe like I understand the boldness part of it. It's just too huge in the face. I think maybe there's something. This is the choice, so I can't say anything on that. But I would obviously love to expand on that. A secondary thing which I think we are missing is, right? If your icons have this amazing patterns, right? You have this illustration pattern which you made to expand into branding, right? But then you're just using them in illustration and then mostly even ditching them at the later stage. You're just using them when there's the icon and then ditching the whole style. This is something I'm on the, yeah. Then you're ditching the whole style. There's not, the style is not anywhere. This is the flag, obviously, this flag thing they have. Then the thing is just ditch, right? I would say you have this blank yellow color, right? These blank blocks. Why not add that pattern in the background? Right, so we had like there was this ink gradients, see, pink, not pink, ink. Yeah, I think Cred does this nicely. Cred made, so I also know that the pattern I think comes from royalty vintage and money also, like money has that pattern kind of thing, right? Oopsie. uh Money pattern. Oops. This is I think from some, oh yeah, here. So see, this is where I remember. I was like, I remember this somewhere, right? Yeah. Oh, okay, interesting. I did not know that. This could be a reason also, by the way, why they have made this whole vintage thing on the pattern side of thing. Could be, but let's see. So money has this tactile pattern which they use. Tactile. I don't know if spelling is right or no, but yeah, they have this tactile. Oops, I just tactile pattern which they use in their pattern. Let's just go and check it out. Yep. I don't have much understanding of this. I gotta read more about it. But I've seen this somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Oh, okay. I think this is in US money, but it is something around like to make sure that people are not able to counterfeit. So you have this pattern where you're making this portrait, right? So it's like you have made it from a single pen dot, like you're working on that. So if you're making something like this, right, this could easily be in the background with having stuff. Like you can just only put something here on the background to give it more that of that vintage feel connects, right? It's like just as I said, in the brand it was there, but as soon as they come to the website, it's not anymore. I don't see the hamster dead. I don't see this pattern other than icon filling wise dead, right? I don't see the royalty thing also. There's the royalty thing is not also there in the website. Right? So this is the problem when the brand soul is missing. Most of the people would just like ditch the branding they have done it for nothing. Like there's the whole royalty is not here. Is this is not here. Like I see the flag thing, but the when talk about the crown, the royalty, where it is in the brand, like website itself, where you're talking about those elements. Right? So this is where the brand, like Bento's, like not a brand, but brands miss the brand soul, and that's where we need to do these brand breakdowns to hopefully get that to them, and they'll be able to do this much better. I'm also trying to do better on this brand soul side of things. But yeah, this is the basic, right? So if you notice, again, I can go about the product also, but I see that it's missing this icon style also. Like I was gonna come to this part. This what is this icon style? Like where does this icon style come from? And I get that if you're using this block, uh, if you want the 2D icons, then you should definitely match, expand them into better way, use them somewhere else also. But yeah, this is a quick brand breakdown of Solflare. I'll put the Figma link in the next tweet when I put a tweet about this tonight, and you will be able to sleep. Obviously, I'll also link this tweet here. So if you come to Figma file, you'll be able to go to the Twitter and see this live. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you all in the next brand breakdown. I gotta go and work on the like agency. I gotta get a decoy, and I'll see you all in the next stream. Bye.